how's things been with the vision? Is it fine or?
It's it's stable. I would say there is the odd occasion where like very not often where it becomes heavy. Like it
Yeah.
becomes very misty, the vision.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know
that
what
blurry.
causes that.
It's murky, murky. Yeah, it's like it's just like all
Yeah.
washed out feeling.
Yeah, and basically you notice the difference. Like if I'm watching TV and sometimes it's not even stress related. Sometimes I don't know what causes it. It
Yeah,
basically will just feel heavier, much heavier that single day.
yeah,
And then the next day it's not like that. Like once in every 2 months I'll get a day like that maybe. Something
yeah.
like that.
See, what I notice is sometimes I'm in the lounge playing games and my vision is just crystal clear, and then other times I
Yeah.
notice it doesn't seem the colors don't seem as vibrant or rich. They just feel it just feels like you say a bit washed out. It's like what the
Yeah.
hell? And then it just goes clear, and then it goes shit, and then it goes clear, and it's just up and down like a
Yeah.
yo-yo. You know, I'm still having a little bit of problems sleeping, but I think my bed's shit. It's just like aching necks and shit. But um, most people say they have a flare up when they don't sleep, but when I'm sleep deprived, my vision is super crystal sharp. I'm like, what's going on? So this thing is really,
Yeah.
it cycles, man. So I'm looking over here when the camera's up here. Um, yeah, it's so fucking weird, eh? But the one reason I decided to touch on oxygen is because I wanted to see how things worked in the brain. So by just studying things, looking at other people, looking at the research, it doesn't usually worsen the condition. It it's I'd say there's a small minority of people it helps, but I've found out that people it actually helps around about 3 to 400 milligrams of the stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm only on 50. It's not even a therapeutic dose yet. Because some medicines will be like like if you touch a benzodiazepine, 3 milligrams is a lot. But if you touch lamotrigine, 100 milligrams is the therapeutic dose. So
Mm.
all medicines are different, and so you just gotta yeah. But I'm up to 50 now. Um, it helped the OCD a lot. That was good, but the vision has brought the static down, but yeah, that's about it. So it's
Well,
not.
so it has a knock-on effect on other parts of the brain then for it to improve the OCD and things like that, which is really interesting.
Well, it's to do with like because the studies in visual snow syndrome say it's glutamate and serotonin, right? And
Yeah.
both of those things are mediated by GABA. So it's like there's an imbalance there. So you've either got too much excitation, a lack of inhibition, because serotonin is a inhibitory. It's inhibitory. I thought it was excitatory, but it depends. In some parts of your brain it is, in other parts it's not. But I noticed I was talking to this guy from Germany, and he said once he touched an SSRI, he ended up getting training. So I was like, yeah. But serotonin, the more you raise that, it affects how glutamate's released. So it's like this: you touch this, it touches this, it knocks that. It's all indirect, like signaling in the brain. One
Mm.
thing affects another thing. But the way I've come to understand visual snow syndrome, because a lot of people say they touch benzodiazepines and they're like, why did my
Yeah.
symptoms get better? When I finally looked into it, it's because it causes a thing in the brain called hyperpolarization. So hyperpolarization means it dampens excitability. So
Mm.
you've got too much excitation for some reason. We don't know what's causing it. But when you take a benzo, you open these things called chloride channels. That makes your GABA inhibition way stronger. The problem with that is it causes the GABA receptors to become desensitized over time, which leads to tolerance and dependency. So
Mm.
when you're touching something like lamotrigine, it only affects the sodium channels. So
Yeah.
if you're opening or blocking ion channels, because they're the things that carry the electrical current in the brain, right? And if you are able to modulate those, you can pretty much adjust brain disorders. But the problem is, lamotrigine is really the only major player with like I'll put it this way: you could get a potassium channel. You'd need an activator on potassium. With lamotrigine, you're blocking sodium, so you've got calcium. Yeah, so the calcium, sodium, potassium, and chloride.
Yeah.
With lamotrigine, you are basically just blocking sodium, which brings down excitability. But I think the problem is over. It's like you got to think of a front door and a back door, right? So if I could give you an example with excitability in the neuron, imagine you're trying to sell a house, and you have people inside the house. Now they got to leave before the next people come in, right? So what like lamotrigine are doing, for example, is stopping people come through the front door, so enough people can leave. But the problem is, what if the back door's locked or not opening properly, and you just get more and more and more people coming in, right, and no one can leave. So I know my example probably kind of shit, but it's it's all to do with like balancing neurons and shit in the brain. It's like channels aren't opening properly. That's basically what's happening. Because I don't know if I sent you a link, but they've linked tinnitus and hyperacusis and sound sensitivity to potassium channels not opening properly. And when I took Voltaren, it is a potassium channel opener and it fits the hyperacusis. I don't have sound sensitivity anymore.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
What did you try?
Voltaren.
Wow.
Yeah. But it brought it down, but it can come back. But if it comes back a bit, I'll just take another one and brings it down because it's opening the channels. But the problem with Voltaren is when you take lamotrigine, you build the levels up in your body, right, over time. So it always keeps those channels blocked. If you're taking something like a non-steroid anti-inflammatory, it's going to open them for like 2 hours and then they're going to close again. Or you know what I mean? It's not keeping the valve open, so to speak. If that makes any sense. But yeah,
wow.
The problem with visual snow is, like I say, here are the 4 ion channels that are a problem. I was looking into chloride, right? But if benzos work, that means the chloride isn't a problem in your brain, but it's still worth lowering these chloride. The other one is calcium, which is the problem with ion channels is it's not just one simple ion channel. Like if you go to potassium, you have 40 channels, and you just got to affect one of them. If you go to sodium, you have 40 channels or something. And lamotrigine's blocking a bunch of them, but not blocking others. So and the problem is you want to target one part of the brain that's causing this. Right? I did upload a video to my YouTube channel explaining this sort of, but yeah, this thing's a fucking blast. This thing really is.
Did people engage with it? Like, did people understand it?
I think there are a few people who understood it, and then there are a lot of other people that were just it really does go over your head. It's like trying to understand mathematical algebra. It really is. I understand it from a surface level. I understand what receptors are. I understand what ion channels are, but then you've got like the mRNA level of shit. The coding in your brain, right? But your coding in your brain can be overcome by affecting. You got layers. You got receptors. You got ions, and it just goes down. So yeah, I don't know. This thing is a bastard. Like I say, it's so weird how for some people this goes away, other people keep getting worse, and you just gotta wonder like why. But there was a guy on YouTube who said he's had it for 16 years and it's never gotten worse, and then you see other people like, I'm getting worse all the time, and I just wonder how many of them are just hypochondriacs or just worry about things getting worse when they're not. Like it's like if you have a flare up. It's a flare up. That doesn't mean it's overall getting progressively worse. Yeah. We think it is. It's like, oh god, this shit again. Thankfully my after images went down to such a degree that it's not stopping me from enjoying TV or playing video games or all that sort of shit. The biggest problem I have is still not sleeping properly. And it's just, that's if I just had the static, I wouldn't care. I mean, I would care. But I wouldn't. It's like you say you got what was it, the the keratoconus?
Yeah.
Or is that both eyes?
I think it's both eyes, but it's very mild. And they said it's not progressive because I got it in my say 33. I got it very late in life. Whereas if you get it
Yeah,
early
but how
20s
can you
or
tell?
late teens.
Yeah, how can you tell the difference between keratoconus or a visual snow syndrome symptom?
Oh, you just have to get an eye test done because they basically they can identify any sort of damage in your eyes through a simple test. That's the difference. Whereas, see, the ghosting is
Yeah.
a sign of keratoconus, but it doesn't mean it's you've definitely got keratoconus. So
Ah.
if you've got ghosting, go to someone and get a bloody test done to identify keratoconus.
Yeah.
Most reasonable ones should be able to identify if you've got that or not. Again, it's one of those things where apparently your eye starts changing shape in your around 33, 34. Then it won't progress to condition, whereas if you get it in your 20s or
Yeah.
earlier, because it keeps changing shape, it can impact it and become worse. But there's a shit ton of surgery for it, so that's not a problem. To be
Yeah.
honest, yeah, it's just about managing stress, like with visual snow, like for the most part, and the sleep. Sleep, I've had okay in the last few months. Work is shit. Like
Yeah.
there's just a lot of stress on and off. But
Yeah.
even then, my vision has stayed reasonable. But I think it's because I deal with the stress better than I would have 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know.
Oh, look, my vision a couple of years ago was like the static has actually dropped like 20% in my vision.
Yeah.
Even before I touched the lamotrigine, it dropped, and
Mm.
the palinopsia got better after I took magnesium threonate for a while. Like because like
Okay.
Joanne Fielding said to me, she goes, it could be calcium, and if it's that, it's called T-type calcium channels, which are responsible for thalamocortical dysrhythmia, and basically, there's nothing actually wrong with your what do I call it? Your receptors like serotonin or GABA. It's just that the brain is just firing desynchronized. So because
Mm.
of these like I said, channels. But the problem is with things like the potassium channel activator or the calcium blocker is they don't have the medicines out yet to block these certain channels. Like it has to be a real bastard on these channels that the medicine isn't out there for yet.
Yeah.
I'm surprised lamotrigine is even on the market because that almost got pulled at one stage because it
Yeah.
gives people rashes. But that like I say, it's a ion channel modulator, and from what I know is if the ions aren't working properly in the reticular thalamus, it affects the inhibition, causes a dysrhythmia, causes neuropathic pain, tinnitus, visual snow, all sorts of things, depending on where the dysfunction is. And like I say, I'm pretty confident that if we try potassium channel activators in the future, or we block the T-type calcium channels, it should fix this disorder. Because then it could get the brain back into its synchronized pattern. And the problem with like RTMS and all that shit is you can't reach the thalamus where the problem is. Now there was a study on a person who had HPPD, and I think it's the right area here. They did a bit of RTMS on it, and it got rid of all his symptoms. Yeah,
But the problem is, yeah, when I did it before, I don't think that's the thing. You have to know what it is you're trying to treat and the
target.
volume, and maybe it can work somewhat, but I have a feeling it will just come back again.
That's what I was trying to say. Like RTMS, like when I looked it up for OCD, they use it on the prefrontal cortex, and it says it will come back. It'll come back within about 6 months to a year. You have to get it done again, then again, and it's price costing. So what? You fix your visual snow syndrome, and then it comes back. You're gonna fucking be like, oh, how do I deal with this shit again? Because it's. I think the most plausible theory is to go with medicine, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's interesting,
But lamotrigine, can that be taken continuously for years, though? Is that possible?
Yeah. Absolutely. My sister-in-law's been on it for like 7 years.
Okay.
She's on 700 milligrams. But the problem is they swapped, in New Zealand, they swapped the brand of lamotrigine for another one because it was no longer government funded. And this new brand was done by another company. Same ingredients, stopped working on it. And she went backwards. So she had to get the original brand and it started working again. And this is the weird thing about medicines, is you could have one company making the exact same medicine, right? But then it doesn't work because there's some other bioactive ingredients that might not
Mm.
make it as bioavailable. So, and everyone's different. So it's like, wow. Like I had to pay. I was on the original brand, Login, and that was free, but I didn't really feel it was doing anything. I went over to this brand, and it felt more like it was more powerful. I was like, you know what I'm saying? And I'll just show you it. That's the. Hang on.
Okay.
Yeah, so you just little packet. You just take 2 of those, and they literally taste like lollies. Probably as fucking handy. Yeah, it's. I should really probably get up to 100 milligrams, but it's like if I want to come off it, you know, it's easier not to. I don't know. I just don't like being on meds. I really don't.
Yeah, I was on naproxen recently because I have like it wasn't a wrist injury, it was like a lower back thing. I think it was just from sitting badly throughout.
Yeah.
Do you remember when people used to link visual snow with like lower back pain and stuff like that?
Oh.
And I got this from years. I got this like only recently anyway, the lower back pain. But when I took the naproxen, it didn't do anything to my visual snow, luckily. So there was no knock-on effect.
I think the gut can, like the gut, for example, if that's causing inflammation, you disappeared. If the gut's causing inflammation, that can leak out into your bloodstream, like cytokines and all that, and get into your brain, right? And that can cause inflammation in your brain. So, you know, and that's what can affect the chloride ratio on the brain and weakens the GABA. But again, I've seen such, anecdotal, like, comments, you know, of people saying, oh, this made it better, or this made it worse, and I really don't know, because then there've been people that have can put it down to their necks being out of, like, you know, oh, my neck that was causing it, and some people went to a chiropractor and it got better. So it's like, I don't know. And then other people.
To be honest, chiropractors can't help with this. To be honest, I've been to one that was supposedly one of the best ones in London, and it didn't. Anyway, I don't, even for back pain, I don't see what they give you short-term relief. They don't have much value, I think.
Do you remember that vision therapist, that one that VSI pushed, Dr. Charles Olowski or whatever his name was, and he's like, oh, I cured that guy that had, you know, visual snow. But that guy had it from an injury, though. You know what I'm saying? And he didn't even present with any of the other symptoms. So who the hell knows what he had?
And they say from injury, providing you heal whatever the underlying factor is, it will go. It's not visual snow syndrome, though. That's the thing. It's not the same thing. It's probably just like static vision from an accident isn't unheard of, though.
It's different.
It's different.
Yeah. It's like, you know, like some people on the, you know, HPPD, you know, because people are like, oh, I've done LSD or they've done this, and they have static and they have the visual symptoms. But visual snow is actually meant to be, have you touched any drugs? You know, and the problem with HPPD is we don't realise that taking things like SSRIs are technically a drug. So if you get it from an SSRI, that could technically be classed as HPPD.
Yeah, because of how it acts in the body. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so it's, I don't know. This thing really is a confusing pile of shit. But me and you pretty much got this organically. We hadn't touched any.
Yeah, we got it organically, and to be honest, like I said, like in the first year, it was really because of the stress that it exacerbated my symptoms, and since then it's been under control. I didn't get any new symptoms and stuff, so it's all right.
Yeah, like I think the thing with the glutamate problem, like if you have excess glutamate, it can cause an excitatory imbalance in your brain. If you have low serotonin, it can cause a problem in your brain. So it's like, well, what is it? Is it the glutamate? Is it the serotonin? Is it the GABA? Is it the ion channels? And it's like, oh, for fuck's sakes. You know, it really is like, it's really like difficult to really pinpoint what's down. Unless we like get someone who's like a few people with visual snow who have died and we look into their brains. No, that's the problem. I mean, with people with autism and schizophrenia and OCD, there's a lot of people that have died with that and they've looked at their brains, and that's why they're able to tell what's going on. With visual snow syndrome, I don't think anyone who has died has had their brain looked at for that condition. Maybe HPPD is. But as for visual snow, no idea.
Yeah, it hasn't.
No post-mortems, basically.
Yeah, I think it just still needs lots of research. But even then, like the ongoing research doesn't seem to be plugging new information that's substantial. Like there's not been any major breakthrough, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I know VSI have stopped pushing their vision therapy. Finally, they're not pushing that anymore. They do. They got Peter Gosby talking about things, and it's like, oh yeah, we know there's a problem with serotonin. Why isn't it binding? And I'm like, I still don't think even the main researchers have a real good clue what's bloody going on.
Yeah, I think they're unpicking things to a granular detail, and they're sort of unpicking bits of where they can, but it's not like they've not found that next step about, oh, we've made a breakthrough. There's not been any major breakthroughs in that sense.
No. But it's what's more frustrating, I feel, is the medicines are like Joanne Fielding said to me, treatment probably exists. It's just that we can't get our hands on it. It's like a lot of people. I remember on the Facebook groups when I was on there, a lot of people said they wanted to try lamotrigine and they couldn't get a hold of it.
Yeah.
I got a hold of it so fucking easy. It was ridiculous.
Is that a New Zealand thing?
Yeah. I think I asked for Rulizol, which a guy in the United States tried, but he said it didn't have any effect on his visual snow. But he's also did a lot of LSD and magic mushrooms and all that sort of shit. So it's like, well, I can't really say if you've got BSS or not, or HPPD, because Dr. White said they're two separate conditions with similar symptoms, two different causes. And a lot of the people on the Reddit forums have fucking HPPD as well. And it's and the other thing you got to remember, visual snow syndrome is, with like psychiatric disorders, they're usually neurodevelopmental. It's the way the brain structures itself. Whereas us in our 30s, there's no way this should be neurodevelopmental. There's something else going on.
No.
Like inflammation or I just can't understand how you would get a vision disorder when you're in your bloody 30s. I've even seen a guy who was 55 and he got it out of nowhere. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So
it can come different ages. There's no onset. Obviously, it's like with most things. Like there's always an age where it most likely happens, but it doesn't mean it only happens at that age, though.
Yeah, well, a lot of people, again, on the Reddit, were all worried about, my interneurons have died. They're dead. And I'm like, why are you jumping to the most illogical fucking worst conclusion in the world? Because I asked Dr. White about that, and he said if you had a loss of GABAergic interneurons, you would have far more problems than just sensory processing issues. You'd have motor issues. You would have speech impairment. It would be degenerative. That's what
people just like to. I think people get into this mode where they assume the worst of everything.
Yeah, I know. And I said, there's no fucking way it would be, the death of interneurons, because some of my symptoms have improved. And if you had death of interneurons, you wouldn't have your symptoms improve at all.
The problem is when you get through severe stress, sometimes you lose common sense, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. But I remember I tried to take a sleeping pill, and it knocked me under. And the next day I felt great, but then the next night it didn't work the same.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and that sort of acts like a benzodiazepine. Well, sort of. It's a non-benzodiazepine, but I've stopped taking them because I didn't want to be. You have to be really careful with sleep meds, I mean, I used to sleep like a baby before I got this crap, so I'm just like, what the hell? It's really weird because sometimes, as I said, my vision gets really crystal sharp again. I'm like, oh my god, it's normal, and like the palinopsy goes way down. I don't even really. I saw some floaters today for the first time in months. Because my floaters pretty much disappeared.
Wow.
Yeah,
mine isn't really around as much until I mention the word and then it's there. It seems to then pop up.
Yeah. See, do you have tinnitus as well?
Yeah, but I had that way before VSS.
Yeah, but is it annoying? Like, can you like not?
No. It's in the background. You wouldn't even notice it.
Yeah. See, I don't really consider myself to have tinnitus. I do, but I don't. Does that make sense? Like it's there, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's like at such a level I don't care. But the other day, just
like
to my
mine.
right, the other day my right ear was like, and I was like, what the fuck? And it just lasted for like 2 days and then pissed off. You know how sometimes you have a spike and you're like, what the hell? And it's really loud. I had this little spike.
Yeah,
that lasted
no,
for
but I have that once in a while as well, where like it will peak up to a certain level, but then it will just go down again. Like it bothers me less because I can't see it.
Yeah. Oh, look, like I could probably live with a little bit of tinnitus, but even a little bit of static in your vision. But the problem is, it's the intensity of something I think that really bothers people. And like if your static was really really thick, like Sierra DOMs for example, you'd be fucked. You know?
Yeah.
It's like I can deal with a little positive after imaging because thankfully they're so transparent and quick. They last like 0.1 seconds, so it's almost like by the time I finish looking in a new direction, the after image is gone. You know, if something's moving really really fast on a TV screen, I don't notice it. It's more like if I look and then I look to a blank area, I'll just see that little after image for a second, a split second. So, it's I had to adjust my brain to it, but it's I still like it gone, but it's one of those things you thankfully it's not
You've
too
got to
bad.
learn to manage, isn't it?
Yeah,
But how's everything since then? Is everything balanced for a long time for you now?
So the static went down by about 20 or 30%. It's when it flares, but that went down. Like I can go outside on a sunny day, my vision looks absolutely normal. But I've still got the little palinoptic after images when I look away from things. Like even at night time when I'm driving the car, I don't even see static because I'm just focused on driving. But when I go to bed at night, that's when I'll notice all the fucking static in my vision. I'll be like, holy shit, because your brain's got nothing else to focus on. So, eventually eventually, as I said, you've got nothing to focus on. You're going to notice your symptoms more. That's why when I watch TV or play a video game, I don't notice the symptoms.
Yeah, because you got something else. Yeah, and I think that's the thing, to keep distracted and stuff.
Yeah, and when you're bored, you'll start.
Make a difference.
Yeah, when you're bored, you'll start looking at things more. We all have those flare-ups, but I've definitely noticed things like that. It's like the problem with this thalamocortical dysrhythmia, and this is why I know it's in the thalamus. My OCD got a little bit worse with it, and then the sleep problems got worse, and the auditory problems, and the visual problems, and all that comes from your bloody thalamus. That's where it's all that's where it's all gated. So it makes sense to say that there's a dysrhythmia in there. So it's not a dysrhythmia doesn't mean that your neurons have died or anything else like that. It just means there's something imbalance there, and that usually comes down to neurotransmitters or ion channels not opening or closing properly. So it's not damage or anything, Especially like how it can just clear up sometimes, and it's really beautiful. Like it'd be very interesting to see what your symptoms are like compared to mine. If I get your static, I might be like, oh fuck, this is horrible.
That's the problem. You can't compare the visual element. You can only go off what people perceive, and sometimes people exaggerate on those simulators what their symptoms are. It's hard to tell. It's really hard to.
Yeah, well, there was this other guy, I think his name is Scott Summers, and he puts out little YouTube videos what a static looks like, and I thought, oh fuck, that would drive me mental. And he's got this black floater that's always there, and it's like a triangle in his vision all the time, and he got these little. He got the flying sperm tadpoles in his vision.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, I should show you one of his videos. I actually feel really like if that was my vision, I'd go mental. Like my vision is still. It's really hard to describe. My vision is normal but fucked. I know it's really, you know what I mean though, eh? Like it's clear, but at the same time it's a little messy, but not that messy. And I have no idea how bad some of the people on the Visual Snow, pages really are. I mean, thankfully I never developed like sensitivity, or screaming tinnitus, or the one problem that's really pissed me off the most is the sleep problems. It's like I just wake up and I have difficulty falling asleep, and it goes through cycles. And the palinopsia, like if I could get rid of those two things, I'd be a hell of a lot better, like a lot better, And you just got to count yourself lucky that whatever you got, because a lot of other people who are far more worse.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, is to try and keep a level head. Otherwise, people start going crazy and start taking all sorts of drugs, and it makes it worse. But if you taper off it properly, then normally it's okay.
That's what I found quite interesting, because I know this person was like, oh, I was on Lamotrigine 200 milligrams, and then he stopped, and then later on his Palinopsy got worse. And I'm like, I wonder if I never asked him, but I wonder if he just randomly stopped it.
That's what I'm thinking.
Because a lot of people just like, oh, bad reaction, stop it, and then they have what's called a rebound problem in their brain, where it has to readjust. It's nuts. But
Nuts.
yeah, but other than that, like I'm trying a few like herbals to help me sleep, because I think I'd rather go like the natural way with most things. And like I said, the only reason I was willing to touch Lamotrigine is like when I looked at tolerancy and dependency and all that sort of stuff, it's actually one of the more safer drugs out there. Like I looked and it says it usually doesn't cause tolerance or dependence. A benzodiazepine will absolutely screw you over. After about a month on it, you're fucked. I know some people take it intermittently, which is a lot safer, but it still down-regulates your GABA receptors in the brain, which is not good, because your brain's like, oh, what's this nice shit? And then it wants more of that nice shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Lamotrigine doesn't give you that I need to take it sort of feeling. It's just like all it's doing is block sodium, and then it reduces the amount of presynaptic glutamate releases, which is excitatory. So, I mean, I can send you the PubMed links. Don't mind me,
Is there anything on PubMed these days in terms of research, like recent stuff? Like major?
For visual snow syndrome? No.
Yeah.
No, nothing lately. Well, the problem is, I talked to Joanne Fielding, she's no longer working on visual snow syndrome at all. They stopped.
Wonderful.
She's gone, she's doing something else now. So.
Why, is it because of funding, or?
Yeah, funding, they just can't, there's nothing coming in anymore, because VSI decided to waste it on what.
Yeah.
I think the team in Sydney, Claire Fraser's team, they're still working on it, but not at the moment. Like, they're still invested in it, but they've got no funding this year either. So basically only King College in the UK is the only one working on it. That's it. I don't know what happened to Dr. Palak's RTMS. Nothing out of that. Dr. Shankin's RTMS, which was meant to be finished at the end of 2023, and here we are in 2024, nothing. So it's like the funny thing is, if you go watch some of the old videos from VSI back in 2019, they're like, oh, we're going to get onto doing RTMS within the next year. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. And now they're repeating the same stuff they repeated back in 2019 and 2024. Oh, we're going to be doing this soon. I'm like, you said you were going to do that like 4 or 5 years ago. So.
Yeah, it's just I'm just reading now. It's just all patient-related case studies. There's nothing major on here.
Yeah, I don't know. The thing is, I think one Reddit user pointed out a Biohaven thing to me. And I was like, that's really interesting. When I did my study on potassium channels causing tinnitus, causing hyperacusis, and Biohaven's working on a medicine that opens these particular potassium channels called QCQN2 and 3, right? That if you open those channels, then it can hyperpolarize your brain, and it brings down the excitatory signaling. So it's either, like I said, it's either we fix up calcium T-type channels, we reduce chloride channel, so 2 of the options are blocking calcium and chloride, and the other option is enhancing potassium.
There's a thing here, yeah, that I was just reading that says someone who's 26 years old consumed little less than half of a Delta 8 gummy. I don't know what that is. Must be some sort of cannabis type thing. And then they got VSS/HPPD shortly after. I'm like,
there's the thing, the whole chicken cross the road thing. Just because you took that substance at the time doesn't mean that actually caused your visual snow
Yeah,
syndrome.
no. It's a bit
That's
of
what
a
that's what people are so funny. They're like, I took an SSRI, now I've got visual snow syndrome. I'm like, maybe you were just going to get it anyway.
yeah,
You know,
possibly.
that's the thing. It's like someone's like, oh, I've got this disease. It must have been that fucking like that drink I took. Because I saw one person say, oh, I took Ginkgo and now my VSS is way worse. And I'm like, I don't think it's worse. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people take something and they get agitated and anxious and they're like, oh my God, I'm taking this drug. Oh, shit, what's it going to do? And so because they wind themselves up, they wind up their sympathetic nervous system, and then their symptoms can be worse. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't mind me, I'm absolutely bloody naked, Jay, so I'm talking all over the place. But I was great last night, actually, surprisingly. But, you know,
Yeah.
I just feel like if I could just sleep properly, I'd be really functional again. Like I say, there's some people with visual snow. Like, this thing hasn't stopped me driving, it hasn't stopped me playing video games, it hasn't stopped me listening to music, it's just a nuisance, a real bloody nuisance, you know?
The only research that seems to be of any significance is the person who works with Dr. Shankin doing like different brain tests and stuff on controls against people with VSS, and then like finding parts of the brain. Do you know that neuromodulation? They're just trying to see, oh, okay, this part should be looked at for. Like I guess what they're trying to do is look at different parts of the brain where they can stimulate where it may reach results. But it's it's like what you said, it's like a seesaw. There's so many balances you need to achieve for that to work.
The problem is it's not a viable treatment option for most people because, one, it's bloody expensive as shit.
Yeah.
You have to be in certain countries like Switzerland or your country. I can't even get RTMS here. I can get TMS, not RTMS. I'd have to travel all the way to Australia. And even then, I'd have to have someone approve it, and it would cost so much fucking money. And then there's no guarantee it'll permanently fix it. So I'm just like, no, I really have to believe this needs to be involved with. You're going to have to take a drug. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
You know.
An oral.
The problem is I don't have a problem taking drugs as long as there isn't bloody what you call drawbacks to it, you know, and it's not going to cause you too many side effects. And the lamotrigine, yes, it can cause rashes in some people, but that's usually if you just take like 100 milligrams straight away or you increase it. It's actually normal to get a little bit of a rash with lamotrigine at first because people keep thinking, I'm going to get Stevens-Johnson syndrome with that, which can kill you. Right? But it's very, very, very rare. You know, I started lamotrigine, I started at 10, went to 25, now I'm at 50. And I don't get the rashes anymore. But I did get a few rashes where it was like quite itchy, but it stopped. You know. But yeah, it's that's only, like I said, that's blocking sodium, which brings down the depolarization. So in your brain you've got depolarization, repolarization, and hyperpolarization. And we've either got too much excitation or not enough dampening. That's really it. Like I say, visual snow syndrome at its core might actually be really fucking simple to fix. It's just learning what the mechanisms behind this damn thing are.
I think it's because it's the brain. It just makes everything twice as difficult. That's the problem.
Well, yeah. Well, when you take things like lamotrigine, it's not just affecting your brain; it's affecting everything around your body. You know, that's the problem. That's why I think this research. If you go and watch my YouTube video, he talks about the TRN, and he said we want to find things that can just modulate this part of the brain without touching the rest of your brain, without touching the rest of your body, enhance this part of your brain. And if you can enhance the thalamic function in your brain, you could help manage a lot of brain disorders.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of them. Because, like I say, a lot of brain disorders are just malfunctioning circuits. It's not that you don't have neuronal death. Like, neuronal death usually occurs in like things like Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, you know, what Joe Biden's got.
Yeah.
You know, like something like that. Like, that's neurodegenerative. And even people with neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's, they don't complain about visual snow. So where the hell are people getting off? It's a lack of synchronized inhibition. That's what thalamocortical means, dysynchronized. Think about it like a car that has a really good wheel, and the wheel is fine, the brakes are fine, and the driver's fine, but you haven't done up the bolts, so now you've got a wobbly wheel. That's what your brain is like with visual snow syndrome. It's just a wobbly wheel, and it just needs to have something to, get it back in order, back in synchronization, basically. And like I say, synchronization comes down to ion channels, because ion channels facilitate bursting synchronization in the brain. That's how it works. So I am hopeful. I don't think this thing's incurable. You remember that guy Jack that you showed me?
Yeah.
The teenager one who literally was like, oh, I'm blind, and then he started smoking some pot later on. His visual snow syndrome just went the hell down. Assuming he had visual snow syndrome, he could have had a PVD. He could have, you know what I'm saying? We don't know. But he said he just woke up and it was all fucked one day, and then over time it just went back to normal. Well, he's still got it, but I think he's, functional. And it's just like, well, I don't know. There's so many, like I say, anecdotal reports. I was really surprised they wouldn't touch him, eh? Like, they look at Sierra, oh, she got visual snow. Oh, Jack, no, he probably got it from drugs. Who knows if Sierra did fucking drugs? You know? But no, it's just weird. Like, who knows? Like I say, it could be multifactual in some people. Like Dr. White said to me, one person it could be this and another person it could be that. Apparently, this girl that I talked to went and saw him, and apparently he goes, oh, it's got nothing to do with chemicals, it's a nerve problem in the brain. I was like, the fuck? Like, I don't think Dr. White knows what the fuck he's on about sometimes, actually. It's like he's just pulling shit out of his ass as well.
Probably a nerve problem. That wouldn't make sense.
No, it wouldn't. But I don't know, some people are like, I've seen some videos on YouTube where people are like, I had visual snow, it was my central nervous system, I was anxious and all that sort of shit. And I'm like, no, I definitely think it's a chemical problem, because I've seen a lot of people with high anxiety disorders in the past that they don't have this,
Yeah.
So I think it's a combination of things, but something is upsetting the neurotransmitter balance in the brain. That's all it is. And I think it can sort itself out. Like I said, my symptoms just clear up for no reason. They just get severely better, and then they just get worse again. I'm like, what the hell's going on in there? Well, that's what a dysrhythmia is, isn't it?
Yeah, they never really got to the bottom of tinnitus and stuff as well. Like, it's just...
who knows? It's I don't know. I see a lot of people, I don't know, having tinnitus, like loud tinnitus with this would drive me fucking nuts. I could hear it the other day in my ear going, shh. And I was like, what the shit? But yeah, like I say, if I just have mild tinnitus, mild static, I wouldn't care. I just want to get rid of my pilanopsia and have my sleep go back to normal. I'll be fine. And I'm pretty sure you
reckon the VSS sets to sleep or the other way around?
What do you mean? Like,
for example, if for whatever reason you're not a good sleeper, that obviously probably makes the other symptoms worse, right?
Well, that's a weird thing. You would think so, but when I only got 2 hours sleep the other week, right? And I woke up and my vision was clear as hell. And when I actually got caught up with my sleep, my symptoms were fucking worse. I was like, what? It's almost like the brain's too fucking tired to fucking give me static. It's like, I know, but that's actually a thing I read up. Sometimes your brain can be too tired that it just can't be in an excitatory state. It's weird. But yeah.
Wow.
I don't know. Like, I'm looking everywhere now. I mean, I'm looking at the ceiling. I can see all the detail and all the paint and all that. I can't even see any floaters if I tried my ass off. I can't, It's just like, okay. I think the lamotrigine helping a little bit, but not fully. Like, I've seen a lot of people get up to 200 milligrams and they're like, it's starting to help now. So, and I don't really want to do that. I don't want to have to be like at 400 milligrams staying on something. I think long term lamotrigine can cause brittle bones. But I'm talking you're on like 500 or something for years. So, but it's it's fucking medicine costs money. This costs money, but I really would absolutely love to try the potassium channel activators. Like I said, you have to build up these levels in your body, right? So it keeps them open. But if there was anything I think will help visual snow syndrome, potassium channel activators, T-type calcium channel blockers, and maybe the chloride channel blockers. Those are the three things. Like lamotrigine, we're targeting sodium. We have not been able to target the other three. We haven't been able to touch them. So we can't really say if it's going to... Well, I have with my non-steroid anti-inflammatory drug, but again, it's not enough. It's like someone saying, I'm going to take one lamotrigine. Oh, it didn't work. I guess it doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. Apparently, touching lamotrigine and then getting up to the therapeutic dose, and they say about 6 months after that, you'll really start taking the knock on. It'll really start working. Because it takes a long time to rebalance your brain chemicals. So, yeah. But no, I don't think it's... I did email Dr. White. He said he reckons in 10 years there'll be treatment. But mind you, he said that like 5 years ago, so...
Yeah.
He's like, oh, yeah.
They're trying treatment, but how
I really got angry that they tried. I didn't mind the cognitive-based therapy because that can calm your symptoms down, but that's only because you're calming your central nervous system. You can do that with anything. But that's not going to fix the underlying cause. And I think, it just really sucks because the treatments out there exist, but we can't get a hold of them. Yeah. Other than that, no. I'd say my symptoms have been really bloody stable for quite a while. Yeah, So
yeah, same. Since 2019 and 20, you felt it's developing. Since then, it's been stable.
Started in 2020. April it flared up, and then June I ended up with the positive after images, and they're really thick, and now they've gone down to being completely transparent. So yeah. I think there is hope. But it's interesting because someone said they took MK4. A lot of people are really fucking stupid. They just throw anything into their drugs. Stuff into their body, and that actually moves calcium through your it removes excess calcium, and they're like, oh, this helped my visual snow syndrome symptoms. So it could be a calcium problem in the brain or a potassium channel. Like I say, there's one ion channel. I'm confident in my assertion with ion channels will fix this. That I really am confident in that. But
fingers crossed. Was just someone actually picks something specific, and then we can make progress with it.
Yeah, like I say, I think my serotonin levels are fine because I never felt depression for no reason. I was really, outgoing worker, used to travel, work all the time, and then I got this shit, and it just, it's like getting a broken leg you can't see. Yeah. Nah, all right. That about wraps it up. That's a good hour conversation.